Okay. So hi Vladimir. So
So
yesterday we
now
just
can
had
we
a
begin?
debate. Yeah. So yesterday we just had a debate, right? So Vladimir
Yes,
was
yes.
representing antinatalism and he was arguing against extinctionism. So today again Vladimir is here. He says that he got some new points. So let's continue. Yeah.
Actually, before beginning this debate further, I want to propose a point.
Hmm.
And that is just like you, I also concede the suffering of beings into this universe, and that the fact their suffering is inevitable, and they are going to suffer no matter our efforts, how much we try to prevent that. That is something which I have understood and is an inherent fact.
What fact?
The sufferings cannot be eradicated through any means, so that's why you guys are talking about a complete extinction. Is that right?
Yeah. By no other means you can eradicate suffering. By a complete extinction you can eradicate.
Definitely. So I was just saying that with that, I'm definitely with you guys that the suffering is something that is inevitable, so it's bound to happen. So I completely agree about that.
Hmm. Okay. Inevitable until
Actually,
unless extinction happens. That's all.
yes, yes, yes. Up
Huh.
till that point, everything was fine.
Okay.
The only contention point that I have particularly with you people is that yesterday you said that animals actually suffer more than humans. Is that right?
Like actually suffering you cannot measure. That is one thing. Okay, so for due to different stimuli, like different individuals might suffer at different levels. For example, let's take the case of love failure. Okay, so for one person it might not be an issue at all. Like he won't suffer much at all. He'll just forget that and go behind something else, right? For another person it might be a big issue, like big enough to lead him to even suicide, right? So,
Okay.
in the same way, whatever it is, hunger, loss of home, right, poverty, all these things impacts different individuals at different levels, right? So you cannot actually
Actually, I was
measure
talking.
suffering, but the thing I am saying is that wild animals are at a more disadvantaged position, right? Why I'm saying so is because humans are intellectually capable, right? So at least if they become rational, if they become rational, if they are suffering a lot, they can at least take a decision to, like, at least fight for euthanasia rights, and wherever it is existing you can opt to get euthanized yourself, right? Or you can take a decision not to procreate further and not cause suffering to children, right? All these decisions humans can take. That is an advantage for humans, and animals are not in a position like that. They're literally,
Okay.
their
Actually,
intellectual capability is comparable to children.
listen, listen.
So animals need,
Yesterday,
wait a second, animals
okay, I get
animals
your
need
point. I
our
get your
help.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting your
Okay,
point. The
go on.
thing is that yesterday you were pointing out that animals are at a disadvantage when we are talking about specifically physiological suffering because they kind of feel more threatened in wilderness. So comparing to humans, they are at disadvantage in this regard.
No, no, I'm not saying so. I already told you different things might impact different individuals differently. For some animals, it might be a big suffering. For some animals, it might be lesser suffering, right?
But
So you
yesterday you
cannot
were saying
actually
that
categorize, you cannot wait a second, you cannot actually categorize humans and say that humans generally suffer less than animals, or humans generally suffer more than animals. I'm just
okay,
saying
okay,
that
okay, okay.
in case of, just a second,
I'm
I'm
considering that.
just a second, let me finish. See, I am just saying that humans are at an advantaged position to solve their suffering.
Okay.
Right. I'm not saying whether they are suffering more or less. I'm saying that they are in a position advantage that they have the capacity, they have the intellectual capability to solve their suffering at any moment.
Okay.
Right. That is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Actually, the thing is that you are not considering that the kind of tendencies that humans have. Although you definitely said that one person could be affected by his state of like rejection in love or something, another person might not be bothered by it at all. But I'm specifically talking that this tendency is definitely in humans, right? Some people might think about dwelling on that, or some people might not. But that does not kind of nullify the fact that the tendency is still there.
See, like that, if you see in animals also, it will vary according to individuals. Okay. You can just check the case of farms. So many animals get panic attacks because their children are being separated continuously. Some animals thrive through it and it doesn't matter for them much. Some animals suffer a lot when their babies are separated. Some animals suffer less, right? So it is
Okay, have
dependent
you
on
considered?
individuals, not on species.
Okay, I granted that they all suffer at different levels because the differences that you are pointing out. Let's talk
Mm.
about. Have you actually considered the case of existentialism
Existentialism.
in humans specifically?
What existentialism just means that I don't know. Existential philosophy means that you are trying to research on the existence. That's all right.
So, should I assume that you have not completely gone through the philosophy of existentialism yet, and yet you call yourself a pro-extinctionist?
I don't have to go through the theory of existentialism to be an extinctionist.
So actually, so that you, since you do not know about it, let me tell you very briefly. Existential dread is something that is only exclusive to humans because of the intellectual rational faculty that they possess, and that is distinctive of other animals and species.
What is that actually? Explain that, right? What is existential faculty? What you told? I don't get it.
Existential dread is a thing that is only exclusive to humans because of their
What is
ability,
that? Explain that.
basically conditioning and basically thinking about the point of your existence, the question surrounding basic metaphysics and something which no animal is ever going to dwell upon. Don't you think that is
That
something
is
that
an
agonizes many
advantage for
people?
humans. That is what I am saying is an advantage for humans.
That is not the advantage because those questions are obscured, and no matter how much amount of inquiry you
That
kind
is
of go through that, you are never
see
going to uncover those
see
questions.
See, that is just a stupid. You just heard what I told previously, right? See, animals, since they cannot think about existence, they cannot figure out that existence is meaningless. Okay, not existing is better, right? They don't have that intellectual capability. They continuously suffer, even if they lose all their limbs, even if they are skinned alive, even if they are being eaten alive. They don't think of suicide, or they don't think that okay, if I die, all this will stop, because they don't have the capability to think so. Humans are in a position to rationally think about existence and to figure out a solution to suffering, right? He can
That is
figure
exactly the
out a
problem.
solution
Wait,
to.
wait, wait. Stop right there.
Wait a
Stop
second.
right there.
Wait a
No,
second.
no,
You
no, no,
you
no.
shouldn't.
No, no, you cannot
What the
proceed
fuck?
from this point by considering erroneous assumptions. That is what I'm trying to say. You are
What the
directly
fuck was
assuming
that?
that. Listen,
Uh,
listen, listen.
what?
We need to get
Let
this
me
straight.
finish, right? Let me
No,
finish.
no,
You
no.
you stay there.
You don't need to
You
finish
let
here
me finish.
because
After
you
I
can
finish,
directly.
you can say.
Okay.
After I finish, you can say. I'll allow you to say. Wait there. Huh? So so since humans can achieve, understand all these things, they are able to take a decision for themselves. They can take a
Okay.
decision to get euthanized, right? They can take a
Okay.
decision to not procreate, but animals are not in a position like that. That's all. Hmm.
So the first assumption that you said that since human beings can dwell upon their state and conditions, that is something that is an advantage for them, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Actually,
The
I can.
ability. Hmm.
Yes, yes.
The
Actually, I can
ability.
already see that. I can already see that why you are not able to understand this thing because you have not particularly read about existentialist or even absurdist philosophy for that instance.
I don't
That's
have to
why
read
you are
all
not
those
able.
bullshit, right? I don't even have to read all those bullshit.
Well, that definitely means
See,
that you are
if a
ignorant.
theory says that, if
You
a
are
theory says
intentionally
that,
you are
if a
intentionally
theory
turning a
says that
blind
a
eye to the
person is
basic human situation.
disadvantaged, if a theory says that a person is disadvantaged because of his capacity, intellectual capacity, that is a fucking stupid theory. I don't even have to read that. Right.
Yeah,
By that logic,
bec-
if you are living means by intellectually capable humans are at a disadvantaged position comparing to diseased, comparing to children with cancer disorders, comparing to children with mental disorders, comparing to mentally retarded children, right? So comparing
you
to
know
all of
what?
them, intellectually capable humans are at a disadvantaged position. And if
Just
a
because
like mentally retarded child and a very much healthy person is in front of me, I should be caring about that healthy person because he's suffering more. He's at a more disadvantaged position, and I should forget that MR patient. If this is the fucking logic your theory is promoting, I don't have to read that either. I like there are a lot of stupid things in this world, right? There are
you are
religions,
intentionally.
there is Bible,
Okay,
there
okay,
is
okay.
Quran, there is Gita. I
Okay,
don't have to
okay,
read all
okay.
these bullshit, right? Hmm.
See, you cannot compare those philosophies with the religious theocracy kind of Bible
Obviously,
and
I
all
can
those
compare.
scripts that you're talking about,
Obviously, I
because
can
those are
compare
very
because
much
both are
different. Because
stupid.
okay, so it's your choice, because you definitely want to turn a blind eye to the things that kind of go in discordance with your extant beliefs. So in that case, you are
Not
being
a blind
dogmatic
eye. You
actually.
just explained me what those theories are. That's why I am replying you.
Okay, let me firstly tell you that do you have an open mind or not, or have you completely entrenched yourself with the beliefs that you already have? Are you
I
open to
do
some
have
kind
an
of
open mind. That's why I'm discussing with you. Open mind doesn't mean that whatever stupid dogmatic
no
ideas you propose,
stupidity?
I should accept it. That's
How
not
can
right.
you judge something when you have not gone through it yourself? How can you already
We
adjudge that
do
to be
have.
stupid when you haven't
See,
gone
I
through that?
I don't have to go through anything. Okay, so I don't have to go through anything. I can also name lot of books, lot of theories, right? You which you might have not gone through. It is my if you are presenting a debate, if you are attending a debate, it's your responsibility to present your views. It's not like okay, you should read this theory. Okay, that's your responsibility. It's not like that. If
Yeah,
I'm presenting
that's
some view,
that
I should
that's
wait
what
a
I'm.
second. Wait a second. Okay, don't yeah. So if I am presenting an idea, an argument, it's my responsibility to articulate that and present the idea, right? So you presented your idea. I am criticizing you based on the idea you presented. Okay, it's not my responsibility to read all those theories and books what you propose.
Okay, so if you would only let me speak, then only I would be able to explain you the things that I'm trying to build upon.
You can speak, right? I am giving you time. You are the one interrupting me.
Yeah, listen. Actually, the existentialism and the ontological suffering that I'm talking about is something only exclusive to humans. And you already assumed one thing, that since humans can think about their states, they are at advantage as compared to other animals. But the thing is, the very faculty that makes them dwell upon these questions is the one that becomes the reason for their agony. And that is something that is an established fact and cannot be contradicted by any means. You can verify that through your even own phenomenological inquiry.
It's not an established fact. It is funny even for the present society. This idea is not being accepted by any of the present society. I can say that because check
Bro,
all the
you
constitutions
are
in the
being
world.
ignorant.
Wait a
You are
second.
being completely ignorant.
Wait a second. You have to let me speak. Otherwise, don't attend a debate. Okay. So you can check how all the societies works today. Check all their constitutions. Right. But the ability, if a person, people who are having more intellectual capacity, who are more healthy, right? They are actually having moral duties, not moral value or more moral consideration, right? So an adult has a moral duty to protect children. An adult has a moral duty to protect people who are not well, mentally retarded people, right? That is how it works. So with ability to think, and to act, it comes with moral responsibility rather than moral consideration. It's just common sense. Even common men of this world know that if you are healthy, it's your responsibility to take care of the ones who are not well, right? Who don't have that ability. It's just a common sense, and it is obvious from this debate that you people, you anti-natalist people, and whoever are associated with these theories, they are absolutely delusional and absolutely stupid. Not even compatible with the intellectual capacity level of common men.
Let's actually leave that to the listeners, and they would decide for themselves that who is being ignorant when you are saying that I do not
Nobody
read to
has
this
to
philosophy
decide
and
on
that.
that. It is just a common sense. Yeah.
Okay, let's consider this one thing, that do you think animals suffer from mental disorders like OCD and other things which humans suffer with?
I don't know whether they suffer from the exact same mental disorders. I haven't researched on that.
Since you cannot kind of say that they suffer ontologically and considering existentialism in the same way as humans, you cannot just consider physical pain of animals and
So
undermine all the other ways
do
humans
humans
suffer more
do
severely.
humans do humans continuously get eaten alive, ripping apart their body? Are they
I'm saying it
continuously in
again.
a struggle to
You
survive
can
in the wild?
listen, bro, listen. You cannot just consider physical pain of animals and undermine all the other ways humans suffer more severely than animals. That is what I'm
How
trying to
is
say.
that?
Don't
You
you get
haven't
it?
established anything. Up till now, you haven't established anything. Whatever shit you have told is that humans have more
See,
intellectual capacity,
bro,
and
listen.
that doesn't equal to
I
more
want to
suffering.
I want to listen. I want to make it one thing very clear, that I'm not here for winning or losing. And if you are so intent upon getting that winning crown, then I'm presenting it to you. You have won. But that's not my concern, because I'm not here for winning or losing.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
So do
Got it.
not speak to me like that, as if someone is winning or losing. I'm just here so that's something we could get meaningful out of this discussion. Either of us could get new
Yeah,
insights.
I
That is my
didn't
point
tell
of view here.
anything like winning or losing. You can continue with your points.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that the psychology of humans is very much complicated as compared to animals. Do you agree upon that?
I don't agree. How you can say that? What proof do you have?
So you are going to undo everything, every biological researches, whatever science has proposed till now. You are
What
just
is
going to
that?
turn a blind
What
eye to
is
every.
that? What is that research that proves that humans suffer more than animals? Just set that research. Just give that source. Then after that you talk.
So if you are ignorant of everything, then it is not my duty to educate you in everything, bro.
Yeah, I
That's one
just
thing.
made a Google search. There are a lot of cases of animals suffering from anxiety, depression, stress, PTSD, compulsive behaviors, means OCD itself, environmental stresses. See, even animals are at more risk. I'll tell you. Just to check the case of animals inside zoo. See, wild animals, if their freedom is being restricted for even just a few seconds or few minutes, they'll start showing like symptoms of disorders. They'll do repetitive behaviors like scratching the cage.
Okay.
They'll get extreme anxiety, and they'll be like in a much more worse condition than humans.
And actually, another interesting thing you said yesterday is that you kind of justified meat eating. So you still stand by that thing.
Justify?
You yesterday
I
you
don't have to
justified.
justify meat eating, or I don't have to justify ginger eating, or eating processed food. This is what is this? This is nothing related to ethics, right?
No,
If you are saying that I
yesterday.
don't justify speciesism, okay, I don't
No,
justify
bro.
speciesism.
Listen, man,
Wait
listen,
a
listen. It's
second.
not about today. It's not about today. Yesterday, when
Hmm.
we were having a debate, you specifically said
Hmm.
that humans eating meat is beneficial for animals in the case because they are getting killed. That is something on record which you said yesterday. Is that not right?
Yeah, if it is like, for example, marine fishes, if we are fishing, like it is said that by 2048, 50 or something, if we continue mechanized trawling, it will cause extinction of marine animals. If it will
Okay, okay,
happen,
fine,
it is a
fine,
very
fine.
good thing.
Let's
Yeah.
let's take one thing at a time. Okay.
Hmm.
Firstly, you said that meat eating is justified because humans are killing animals so that they are able to die in the process. So it's a good thing overall. Fine.
If it will cause extinction.
Okay. And next thing
If
you
see,
said that
see under gods, if it will cause extinction. If it doesn't cause extinction, it doesn't make any difference. Because either you will eat that fish or some other animal will eat that fish. For the victim, it is same whether you are eating or a bigger fish is eating that fish, right?
but since you are talking about increasing the population of animals, I mean
Hmm.
increasing the population of humans because you kind of speak that human reproduction is inevitable to your cause.
Yeah, yeah, human reproduction, even like whatever it is, we will be reproducing if humans are at
Okay,
the verge
okay.
of extinction.
So
Yeah.
you just said a few moments ago that an animal kind of getting devoured by his predator in the wilderness is pretty much the same as him getting butchered by some human for him to be meat, right?
Hmm. I didn't hear you.
Are you agreeing on this?
Agreeing on?
Are you agreeing on this that you just said that
Hmm.
humans butchering any specific animal is the same as him getting devoured by his predator in the wilderness?
Yeah,
Okay,
it might differ
are
in amount of pain also. Maybe humans will be able to kill them even more painlessly. If you are shooting an animal using a gun, that pain will be much less than getting devoured by
okay,
a wild
okay,
animal.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
So nevertheless, these two situations can be likened according to you, right?
these two situations can be.
These two situations can be likened with each other, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Only what the suffering victim goes through, it matters.
Okay. So actually, since
Yeah.
you are talking about the propagation of human species, don't you think that the more humans exist on Earth, the more animals are going to be butchered for food?
More humans exist on Earth? Not necessarily.
Why not necessarily? Because you are talking in favor of meat eating, so it's obvious that the people who would be born after you would be the meat eaters as well.
Uh, yeah, okay, but if you are saying about wild animals, okay, it might be a good idea to cause extinction. But we don't need that either. If the society turns to be an extinctionist, you don't have to kill and eat animals to cause extinction, right? One by one,
So
you
that
don't have
means
to
now
kill
you
and
are
eat
against meat
animals. You
eating.
can.
So now you are
You,
against meat eating.
will you allow me to talk, or you will sit inside my mouth and speak? What should I do?
I'm not speaking
See,
in your mouth, bro. You just spoke everything.
you give me one gap. Let me finish at least one sentence. After that, you can talk. Okay, don't be so desperate. Right? You will not lose the debate. You don't have to be desperate. Wait.
I did
So
not sign up for
the thing is
winning.
that okay. So the thing is that if society turns out to be extinctionist, you don't have to depend on marine fishing or hunting or anything for causing extinction, right? We have faster and we can use much painless options also, right? We can create eco dead zones, right? You can euthanize all those animals immediately, right? So these all things can be done. You don't have to depend on hunting or fishing. Today fishing is comparatively better because that is the thing which is contributing to marine extinction, even though it is very slow.
Have you done speaking?
Yeah.
So actually, you were talking about humans not harming animals in a way that would kind of harm them in the same way as they would be harmed in wilderness, right?
Humans.
I mean, you are saying that humans would be able to kill animals with much pain, so that it would not be the same as them being getting killed in forest or woods.
Yeah, obviously, you just think about the pain of getting devoured by a group of hyenas, right? They'll start from the softest parts of your body, like they'll start ripping you apart from your genitals, right? They'll rip each inch by inch, and like just to think about how animals in cat family hunts their prey. So they'll
And
play
one
with their
more.
prey. They'll literally
Okay, okay, I
play
understand
with
that.
their prey. They'll
I
literally
understand that.
play with their they literally play with their praise, and they'll give them a chance to run. They'll injure them again, right? They'll again make them run. So this is like a condition of extreme stress, extreme tension, extreme fear, extreme bodily pain, right? So we can avoid
Okay.
all that if we are causing extinction.
Okay, okay, okay. Let's consider one more thing. Yesterday, you also spoke interesting fact that humans reproducing is going to reduce suffering. So, do you still kind of consider that to be true?
Human reproduction is necessary because humans need to be there to find out the root cause of life, or to cause extinction to wild animals or anything. Humans are very much necessary. That is one
But other
thing.
than that, but other,
And I am just showing a fact that a human, due to his ecological footprints, consumes a lot of resources and destroys like occupies a lot of land area, right? So if that human is absent in that area, there will be like wilderness, and there will be like a lot of animals procreating. So it is like one human can replace maybe hundreds, or like 100 is nothing, like he can replace like thousands or 10,000s of animals. So when you compare one person suffering is to 10,000 wild animals suffering, they are just in wild, they are at a risk of all kinds of suffering. They are not in a position to help themselves if they are suffering a lot, right? Because they don't know to get euthanized or suicide or anything. So
and one more,
comparing to
and
that,
one more
human
thing. Okay,
reproduction is
okay,
beneficial.
okay. Now let me
Mm.
speak. I understand that. Yesterday, you also said that animals getting displaced and getting extinct due to more humans is a good thing.
Mm. Displaced.
You said that animals getting displaced and getting extinct due to overpopulation of humans is a positive thing. Do you still consider
No,
that?
in whatever way, see, in whatever way you can reduce the number of sentient beings. So if humans populate
Okay.
means they'll occupy a lot of land, they'll reduce large number of animals, right? So
Okay,
it
okay,
will be
okay.
like 10% suffering will be better than 100 people suffering, right? That is just a
Understood,
logic.
understood. So,
Yeah.
extinction is something, extinction of animals due to humans populating their spheres is something positive according to you, right?
Whatever reduces the number of suffering, whatever reduces the intensity of suffering is good, right? That is just a logic, common sense.
Okay. So, do you think extinction is something that happens just overnight?
What does that mean?
And that the animals that are being displaced and are reaching to the verge of extinction, they do not have to struggle for survival due to lack of resources, either starving to death and losing the ability to reproduce.
Yeah, otherwise, so if that is not the condition, how would they be dying?
So, yeah. So you are talking about them suffering exactly. So are they not suffering in the same process of reaching to the point of
Yeah,
extinction?
that's what I'm asking you. They'll suffer in the process. If that process is not there, how will they be dying? Will they be getting euthanized, painlessly dying?
No, no, no. Listen, listen. Firstly, you
No.
said that extinction is something positive because of humans. I mean, animals getting extinct because of humans is something positive. That is what you said.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, just to stop there. Hang right there. And now, next, after
So
that, you said that extinction is something that is definitely not going to happen overnight. So they are going to struggle for existing during that time before they go extinct. Is that also right?
yeah, right.
Okay. So don't you think that during the process when they kind of have been displaced from their natural habitat and they would just go to migrate to different lands because their lands have been engrossed by humans, won't it kind of expose them to new predators and make them suffer more in the process?
That is the knowledge you are lacking actually. See, wild populations completely depends on natural resources. Right. Wild species thrive on natural resources, and their population is directly proportional to the amount of natural resources available. If lesser natural resources are available, the reproduction will be less, the population will be less. If lot of natural resources
Yesterday.
suddenly appear means, wait, if a lot of natural resources suddenly appear means large number of animals will reproduce, right? Their population will be like double or 10 times more, right? So
So now you are.
when you destroy natural resources, obviously animal reproduction is going to reduce, right? Wild animals, in the process, they'll suffer a lot and die, even if they are suffering a lot. Or you can maybe painlessly also you can cause extinction. So I'm just taking the worst case scenario in which they'll have to suffer and die. Okay, in the current
So
scenario. Okay,
actually, in
so
order to.
wait
So,
a second.
so in a way.
Wait a second. So even if they had to suffer and die, right? So imagine that in an area of forest there are like 10,000 animals. Okay, so these 10,000 animals, if you don't cause any extinction, if you don't destroy that forest, anyway they are going to die. Anyway they'll die. Either they'll get hunted by other animals, or they'll starve to death, or they'll roam around with parasites in their body for a long time, suffering a lot, and they'll die. They might get discarded from their childhood itself, and they might get pulverized by ants. See, all these things might happen. So instead of that, you are causing extinction, and in that process also they'll suffer and die. It is almost same, no difference. Here also they suffer and die, there also they suffer and die. But the benefit of an extinction project is that when it destroys the natural resources, when it causes extinction to that 10,000 animals at a time, if it surely will cause extinction of 10,000 animals, those animals will not reproduce, right? If you don't cause that extinction, these 10,000 will die anyway painfully. Before that they'll reproduce. Okay, their children also will suffer and terribly die, and they will also reproduce. Like that 10,000 will become 20,000, 30,000, and their suffering will go on, go on, go on like that. But with the extinction project, in 10,000 we stop that suffering. You got it?
So, okay, okay. So let me say this one thing that now you are intentionally trying to ignore other animals, by excluding wild animals because you are just talking about wild animals at this instant. What about other species that are not wild animals and just they just want to live naturally, but they are not being able to live because of humans' encroachment of their natural population and environment? Why are not you
Which
considering those species?
species want to live naturally?
You are specifically talking about the wild animals since you said that they completely are dependent on natural resources. What about the species that are not wild, that kind of like even if
So
you talk
you think
about
those
domestic
animals
animals?
wish to live naturally?
Your
So you
concern
assume
seems
that
to be
those
fixed
animals
only on
wish to
wild
live
animals.
naturally.
No, I am saying that you are only concerned about wild animals. What about other animals, those who are not wild?
Who who told you I am not concerned about? I am only concerned about wild animals. I am an extinctionist. I am for total extinction of all animals, all sentient beings. Why are you
You did
making
not
blank
answer my
statements like this?
question. You did not answer
Uh,
my question that those species that are
you don't
not
have a
wild when
question
they.
either. You are just blabbering a blank statement that I don't care about farmed animals. What is that?
Instead of using ad hominems, it would be better if you would rather listen to my thing and think about it more rationally instead of just proposing your viewpoint while rejecting mine.
What is your
I have an
question
open
even?
mind.
You are asking me why am I not caring about farmed animals? When did I tell I am not caring about farmed animals? Why are you making blank statements? That's what I am asking you.
When I asked you the question that the species that humans are specifically displacing them from their natural habitat, and for that they are kind of forced to migrate to other places, that kind of makes them more vulnerable to being pulverized by the kind of wild beasts you are talking about. So does that not pose
See,
additional risk for them in this process?
I have just explained you in detail how it works. Population depends on natural resources. If they are being displaced and if they are dying also, it is the same. Anyway, they are going to die. Right? They'll get hunted by animals, other animals, or they'll starve to death or die out of diseases, right? So before that, if they are being displaced and they are dying also same. But the benefit is that their population will end there. They'll not their procreation rate will end, right? More and more like infinite number of generations which they would have made are spared from existing, are spared from being born, right? Those beings who are already born, they will anyway suffer. Even if you cause extinction or if you don't cause extinction, they are going to suffer terribly and they are going to die. Extinction project is
Uh,
not to
so
if it is not painless, if in the worst case if we are not able to do painless extinction, right, then it is not for those beings who exist right now. They are going to suffer pain anyway. It is for those beings who are not born. We are sparing them from being born, right?
okay, okay, that is a great logic. You are trying to save the future generations from further suffering, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you concerned only about the suffering of animals, or are you also do you also share some kind of benevolence towards your fellow humans as well?
See, and humans are also animals. Humans are just more capable animals, so we have a moral responsibility. That's all.
Okay, so that means you do not care for sufferings of human because you think them to be rational, so you consider that they should suffer.
Oh, who told I don't care about suffering? But human extinction is not an option because you are the only one who can save others, right? So if you are in a bad situation with your child, it is not an option to save yourself alone, right? Even if you suffer a bit, you have to save that child who is incapable of saving themselves, right? So that is a
Are
simple
you
logic.
okay? Let me ask you one thing. Are you aware of the overpopulation crisis that the world seems to be getting ailed with currently? Are you aware of that?
Mm. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, haven't you looked at the statistics and what the scientists had to say about this? About the world being endangered because of extreme population increase
What
of
kind
humans
of
specifically.
endangerment? What kind of endangerment?
Bro, we cannot proceed with this discourse if you are just being ignorant about everything. Every time I bring up something, you say that I do not know this, I do not know that. How are we going to have a debate when you are ignorant of
See,
everything?
See, it is not necessary that whatever you have in mind, I should be knowing already. Your job here is to articulate all the knowledge you have, right? If you don't have the capacity to articulate, if you don't have the capacity to present what you know in a debate, and you're expecting your opponent to know everything by default, then you shouldn't attend a debate actually.
These are not everything, bro. These are just basic facts that everyone ought to know. And if you are a rational human being, as you call yourself to
Say,
be, then you should definitely be knowing about this.
uh,
This is a no-brainer.
okay, so if I don't know that, what is the thing? You don't have to debate with me, right?
No, I just said that there are certain things that you, as a rational human being, ought to know. That is what I'm saying. And since you do not know them, at least you can concede your ignorance. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, okay, I agree that I am ignorant. Okay, go on.
Okay, so let me now talk about that. You are in favor of reproducing more and more humans, right?
I I am in favor of maintaining a human society. That's all, right?
Okay,
So
that
you see,
that is kind of a euphemism for producing more humans, right?
you are see, antinatalism says that reproducing is an
Do not
immoral
please
act.
do not explain me the tenets of antinatalism. I'm well aware of that. You just stay with your
You sit
subject.
here and talk, man. That is best thing. You argue from both sides and you win the debate. That will be best for you.
No, no, no. I'm not arguing with both sides. The
Okay, okay,
thing is
okay.
that you
So
yourself
shut
said.
your mouth and listen for at least a few seconds. Okay. So
Yeah,
antinatalism
the
says
thing.
that it's immoral to reproduce and it is like a pro voluntary human extinction. Okay. So I am against that. We need a human society to research on the root cause of life to cause extinction of animals.
Okay.
But I don't argue that you should reproduce in a rate which is self-destructive. That is obviously stupid. See, there are many factors which affects extinctionism. Like if a child is being born, it is necessary that that child should get proper nutrition, right? Proper emotional care in the childhood. Otherwise, that child will not grow up to be empathetic. That brain development will not be in a way that the child become empathetic and rational, right? So all these factors are needed. So if I have a limited amount of money, I can just grow one child means, right? I should produce only one child. If I am for the purpose of expanding humans, if I am reproducing 10 children and if I don't have money enough to take care of them, if I don't have time enough to take care of them, that will be like extremely stupid for the cause,
I got your
right?
point.
So wait. So we are ultimately consequentialists. We don't have. We are. You are actually trying to fit extinctionism into this anti-natalist dogmatic stuff, like lifestyle based stuff, right? You
So
are
now you're
asking me
pro.
that are you against? Are you pro human? Are you pro reproduction? Are you against reproduction? See, there
Oh,
are
so
no
listen,
absolute
listen.
moralities. There
Just
are
a
no.
little thing. Just a little thing.
Wait a
So you
second,
think
man.
that
Let me finish, right? Let me finish my
are
sentence. After that, you can tell. Okay. You cannot, there are no absolute actions which are like, you cannot say that an action is absolutely immoral or not. It depends on time, it depends on situation, it depends on place, everything. Like reproduction, it is bad if it increases suffering, right? Finally, it comes to suffering, right? Reproduction is good if it reduces suffering. So in a case where
okay?
there is overpopulation, you don't have resource enough to grow children means that will be counterproductive. So if you reproduce a child,
Okay,
that will
okay,
lead
okay.
to ultimately it will lead to more net suffering, right? So in
Yes,
that case,
yes,
you
yes.
shouldn't reproduce. So we
I'm
are
completely with you on that.
consequentialists. We are not. We don't have any fixed ways of doing things. Yeah, that's all. Hmm.
Okay, okay. I'm completely with you on that. On that note, I just want to ask you that what do you think about our current rate of reproduction? Is it anywhere nearing that extreme state that you were talking about? Are we maintaining a healthy growth rate or it is already in inordinate amount? What do you think?
See, the reproduction rate actually varies according to countries, according to places. Okay, the places where there are like
Okay,
more economic.
let's talk about third world countries specifically. What do you think about the reproduction rate in third world countries? Is it going at
Yeah.
a uh,
Mm. Okay, so about the third world countries, their reproduction rate, everything. See, they are in a very disadvantaged state. You cannot even make them do anything, or they are not in a position to understand any philosophy, any ethics, or any rationality. That is their condition. Okay, so when they develop, obviously their population rate is going to reduce. So the thing I am fearing is that, uh, like, if we maintain a population like which is enough for our technological advancement, that is fine. Which will provide us enough resources for every individual to grow properly, to have proper empathetic and rational abilities, right? That is the best thing. So we should have an optimum population, not too much or too less. That's all.
can you listen me?
Yeah, I can hear now.
Yeah, I was saying that instead of beating around the bush, why don't you directly tell me the thing that the current rate of population increase, specifically with regards to third world countries, do you think that is reasonable, or are we already nearing a kind of state where we should stop reproducing? What is your view with regards to third world
See,
countries in
it
specific?
doesn't matter. That's what I am saying. Maybe if they reduce their reproduction rate and if their economy could get a better means, it might be better. Probably, maybe because people could become more rational and empathetic. Maybe it might be a
What is
better
the
thing.
current state? What is the current state, bro? Do not talk about future or do not
Current
introspect.
state, I
Just
just
talk about.
told you, don't just if you are not listening to what I am saying, if you are going on blabbering shit, you will not listen, right? So just now I told you that currently their condition is very bad, their economic state is very bad, right? So even if they reproduce a lot, it is going to impact negatively only, right?
Okay, okay. So that
Mm.
means you are completely agreeing with the fact that the third world countries kind of should decrease their birth rate or even stop reproducing at all, right?
Even stop what? Yeah. Even I don't say that they should go extinct. They should have an optimum population, right? I don't even believe in you should maintain different nationalities, different economic conditions. I support an international society. A rational society can, if a society completely becomes rational, right? Completely becomes empathetic. You don't need borders actually,
Actually,
right?
let's consider
Internationally, you can maintain the things. That's all.
let's consider the perspective of a third world country from where you come. Let's consider if more and more humans are born into this already overpopulated world,
I am
specifically the
not
third
from
world
a third
countries.
world country. I am residing in a developing country.
Okay, let's leave that aside. I was just saying that if more and more humans are born into this already overpopulated world,
Hmm.
specifically if you consider the lack of resources and the limited amount of things that we have, with already so much people ready to consume things, then would not
Hmm.
there be a more intense struggle for resources amidst fellow humans? Wouldn't there be
Yeah,
a
that is not a
much
good
more
thing.
intense struggle?
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I told you already that that is not a good thing. You should have optimum population, which will be compatible with the amount of resources we have.
As you can see that in many countries that employment has already brought people to the edge of mental breakdown. When millions compete for kind of limited resources,
Hmm.
you know that their mental states kind of get stirred into anxiety. So is that not suffering?
I don't hear you. What you told?
I said that because of overpopulation, unemployment has already become a huge issue in third world countries, right?
Huh. Hmm.
People are even struggling to earn their daily bread. So when millions are going to compete for limited resources, don't you think
Hmm.
that they are kind of going to get stressed in the process? And already there have been cases of many people
See,
committing
if
suicide
you are
specifically.
considering about their suffering, I'm just saying it is not useful to have their population. They cannot do proper extinctionist activism, probably. Okay. If you are considered about their suffering, net suffering actually doesn't make any change. If there are a lot of humans, there will be lesser number of animals. I already told you. Even in third world countries, if they are being born, if they consume a lot of resources, means it will reduce the resources and it will reduce the wild animal procreation. So that is the way in which this world exists. So one person, see, if you liberate blacks, means blacks will abuse more farmed animals, right? If you liberate farmed animals, means like that farm area will be cleared and there will be more wild animals suffering, right? So this is the condition of this world. So I'm not saying that whether procreating less or more will be actually reducing suffering. It is waste of time to calculate all that sufferings, right? I'm saying that do whatever is practical to develop a society which will advance technologically, which will be empathetic enough to solve all the sufferings in the world. That's all.
And another thing that you said that reproducing babies result in happiness.
Producing babies result in happiness. I never told anything about happiness up till now.
Yesterday you
I'm a
definitely said
negative
something along those
utilitarian. I
lines
don't
that
care about happiness.
what?
I'm a negative utilitarian. I don't care about happiness.
Actually, I would not have cared for it either had you not spoken about it yesterday. You specifically mentioned that producing more babies can kind of make people more happy to live as a society, and it kind of could get perpetuated from there. That's why I'm
When did
building
I
upon
tell
that
you?
argument of yours.
When did I tell you all these things? I never talk anything about happiness because you can just see all of my previous debates,
Okay,
all
okay.
of
Let's
my
forget.
previous
Okay, let's forget that I misheard you everything and all that. But let's still think that you consider that making babies is kind of a legitimate thing.
making. I already, you are going around and round there. See, bro, there is no such things. See, if you are asking me, is making baby morally wrong or right, it depends on time, it depends on situation, it depends on place, everything, right? If you are eating me, if you are asking me whether eating meat is morally right or wrong, it also depends on time, it also depends on situation, right? If you are eating the meat of a animal or a person who already died, it doesn't matter. If you are hunting a wild animal which is already going to be hunted by other animals, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change in its suffering.
I
But if you are feeding
actually
another
I
animal,
I actually do not understand the fallacy that you are using. The thing is that whenever an argument with regards to your pro-extinctionism kind of is brought forth, you immediately talk about the holistic perspective, like let's consider the consequential view and broad point. But when I start nitpicking things, then you say that we need to consider different viewpoints and all that. So why this hypocrisy in kind of
see, you do,
stating
basic
certain
thing is
things?
that you don't even have the ability to understand all these things. See, I'm telling you, if you ask me reproduction, whether it is wrong or right, if I say that it is right, like an anti-natalist, if I say that it is wrong, or reproducing is wrong, that is moral absolutism, and that is absolutely stupid. Right? Only consequentialism matters. What is the
Yesterday when
consequence
I
of
was
reproducing? Wait,
yesterday when I
consequence of
yesterday
reproducing. Wait. Consequence of reproducing depends on time, depends on situation, right? So, in a situation, if reproducing a human can reduce the number of wild animals, help them out, means that reproduction is good. In a
okay, so
situation
now
where
you
there
are
is no
considering.
solution, if you are simply bringing an extra being to suffer, means in that situation, reproduction is wrong, right?
Okay, so I mean, in this situation, you are considering all the perspectives that when it could be right and when it could be wrong, right?
Uh,
So here you are kind of agreeing on considering different perspectives. But when it comes to pro-extinctionism, all of a sudden you talk about the widespread perspective that everyone just needs to die. Are you
I
not
am
considering
not
about those people
talking
who still
about
want to live?
different perspectives, you idiot. I am not talking about different perspectives. I'm just telling you how an act can be moral or immoral. Finally, what matters is whether it reduces or increases suffering. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not talking about different perspectives. There are no different perspectives, only single perspective of abolishing suffering.
And what about the suffering that you are going to cause for all those years until you wait for that scientific advancement to happen that you are intent upon finding one day?
There are no extra sufferings happening, right? Whatever we continue, if we continue human society, that will actually control the wild animal suffering only. I already told you, it is only benefit. In
What
both ways
about
it is benefit.
and what about the suffering of humans? For all those years, humans would have to sustain themselves to reach
I
to that
don't have
point
to
where
specifically care about humans. Why I should specifically care about humans? I care for humans as much as wild animals, because all of them are
you
animals. All of them are capable of suffering. That's all.
you have to
Why
you
I
have
have
to
to? So if I start caring about humans, you'll ask why are you not? Why do you not care about white humans? So I should specifically care for white humans. Then you will ask me why do you
when you
not care specifically for my family? Then I had to care about your family. I don't have
when you
time for this bullshit, bro.
when you talk about pro-extensionism, you speak in absolute terms. So it kind of is obvious that you are talking about all the species, but then all of a sudden you kind of ignore humans and talk about only wild animals. That is what I'm saying. Who is going to
Okay.
account for the suffering
I
that
think
human beings are going to
I
suffer?
think you are just going round and round. You are very much clear that you lost the debate. Okay, fine. Yeah, then let's stop the debate for today. Let's, if you want, we can continue later. Okay.
Actually, I don't think that you have anything specific to say because all your points that you kind of said yesterday still stand true here because you could really got nothing special or new to say.
See,
It's
everybody
everything
who
that
is
I've already
watching this,
known.
most people who is watching this live have an idea that anti-natalists are basically bigots. There is no use of saying any rational points or asking them to be empathetic towards animals.
So
Okay.
your
We
philosophy of
already know that. We are just
pro-extensionism, your
what I'm
philosophy
doing
of
is that I'm just exposing another anti-natalist. That's all. Fine.
I'm just going to say this one thing that you consider everyone a bigot who does not conform to your opinions and views, and instead you want to
Okay.
foist your opinion upon
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
by thinking that your
Anybody
view
who
is the
doesn't
absolute.
conform to anybody who doesn't conform to my view of equal moral consideration for all sentient beings is a bigot. Okay, fine.
Okay, but
Okay,
then in
fine.
the process you are yourself rejecting the moral consideration for humans. So now you are not a bigot.
If that is the thing you have understood from all this debate, means it's but totally waste of time to debate with you because you don't have the intellectual capacity to
Just answer me
understand
this
them.
one last question.
I
Since
think you deserve a
okay,
more
okay,
moral consideration. I have
we
a
are going to
responsibility to save
we
you
are
from
going
your
to
suffering. I
we are going
consider
to end
you
this
just like other animals. Okay, fine.
we are going to end this debate in just 2 minutes. Just let me speak one last question and then we'll be off. Okay.
Whenever you want to speak for 2 minutes, I'm fine.
The thing is, when you kind of produce a baby in an atmosphere with limited resources, and you did not produce any extra resources for him while giving him birth. So that means he would only be using the existing resources that are already left for him. And when he already competes for all those resources in a cutthroat competition, what do you think is going to happen? Is he not going to suffer in the process? And since you have thought of perpetuating this idea of yours until that scientific machine or advancements kind of get developed, then would it not be the thing that he or you are kind of talking in favor of sanctioning suffering for all those years? Why are you not accounting for that?
Finished.
See, it is not going to happen like that, bro. You have become
Hmm.
so much dogmatic in your own opinions that you do not consider the viewpoint of
Yeah,
anyone else. But that's fine, okay.
yeah,
But that
I'm
only proves that
dogmatic. Yeah,
your
okay,
view is
fine.
the dogmatic one. Your view is the dogmatic
Yeah,
one, and
yeah,
that
right,
has
right.
been proved because you firstly are
Hmm.
being ignorant of conceding the
We will
existence of
change
other
the
philosophies.
meaning of
You
dogmatic in
speak
the dictionary.
you speak as if you already know everything, and if I talk about other philosophies, you directly feign ignorance and say that I do not need to learn about this and that because I have already learned things that are relevant to my cause. So this is not the way to go about it.
Bro, where are you from actually? Are you from Russia?
Actually, where I'm what would you want to know about where do I belong? Because you
No,
since you are
I
not
was just
considering my
trying
arguments,
to guess from your slang. Your slang seems like an Indian slang. Are you from India?
you since you are not being kind of considerate about my opinions, then what is it to you that from where do I belong? That's the first question. And yeah, it's not there is no point in continuing this debate further, so I'm off.
Hmm. Okay, got
But
it.
yeah, I'm just going to leave you on this
You are
note that
actually
make your
coming
make yourself kind of
from
a
one
more
part.
where you are kind of amenable to opinions of others as well. That is what would be my last advice to you. And where you are kind of amenable to opinions of others as well. That is what would be my last advice to you.
Hmm. I just see you. Your child. Okay, bye bye. I just use your child resources rather than having children. So, Sujit, actually, it's not about using resources or anything. Humans cannot go extinct because if humans go extinct, means there will be nobody to cause extinction of animals. There will be nobody to research on the root cause of life in this cosmos, right? So, uh, so I am just saying that human society should be there. An optimum population should be there to advance in technology, to find a technology to destroy the cosmos itself, if possible, right? So I came up with this argument of natural resources because people ask me that what about the suffering in the process? So if you reproduce humans for this purpose, humans should be suffering, right? So I was countering that argument that if you reproduce a human, it will actually control wild animal suffering a lot. If you produce an extra human, that person will consume a lot of resources and it reduce wild animal reproduction, right? So instead, by producing one human, you are preventing the birth of like hundreds or thousands of animals, right? So I'm just saying that this process actually doesn't account for any extra suffering, but this process is actually reducing suffering only. Okay, that is what I'm saying. So all these things doesn't matter only. See, existence is like that. Whatever you do, suffering will balance if sentient beings exist. The only thing you can do is to completely eradicate the root cause of life to prevent any form of sentient life to exist in this world. Right. Mm. Okay. That's all then. Let's close today's debate. I hope Vladimir got his answers. Yesterday already we did one debate and he brought some new points today. I hope he'll not come again with more stupid points. Okay, fine. Thank you. Bye.